Okay, that's done. All righty. So what I want to show you too, that as after today, the live stream videos will be in your you'll have access to the class recording. So you go, like I said, from your module to class recordings. And right now you have 4 recordings already in. So we have looked at 1.1. We looked at symbiotic relationships. We're going to look at 1.2 today, and we're going to look at 1.3. Not today, but that's our next step to look at 1.3. So I am going to open this from here.
Hey everybody, it's Mr. Smeeds. Welcome to video notes for topic
All right,
1.2.
Mr. Smeeds, hold on. All right, so I'm going to let that sit there for a minute, but that's where we're going today. So in the next 30 minutes, I'm giving everybody 30 minutes to do 1.1 and catch up on your project. So 30 minutes, and then we'll come back to this. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing, do attendance, look at some things that have already been submitted. And ladies, let me know if you are able to get in or not. If not, then I have to talk to Miss Martin just about why you all can't get in there. All right, so I'm going to do attendance. Everybody's here. Great, great, great. Like I said, I don't want to get too far ahead until everybody's in so that folks are playing catch up. But we do have a lot to do. So this is why I'm going to make sure that we record classes going forward so that if you are missing, that you can catch up. And because we do have a lot to cover in this class. Again, I recommend that if you have spare time, you look at your vocabulary because the exam is an essay exam mostly. It does have some multiple choice questions too that go along with it, but you have to be able to write a good essay. And it's an outside exam. It's not something that I grade. So all I can do is guide you into what you should be thinking about and give you some type of practice on how to answer the questions. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you can use the vocabulary in a way that shows, good, I got one. All right. Good, good, good. All right, Arshis, how you doing? Not yet? Okay. Did you, how far have you gotten? Come off mute and tell me what you've done.
I created an account. I'm just seeing if it works now.
Oh, okay. All right, because Marlaisha got in. Good. All right, and again, once you get in, go to Unit 1. It should tell you what is assigned to you already. So I'd like for everybody to at least have Unit 1 done. I think I lost Amelia. Are you there? And then somebody's unmuted. Because I hear something. Oh, there she is. Yeah, she's not there, but she's unmuted. Okay. Amelia, you need to mute your mic.
Oops.
It's okay. Not a problem. Thank you. All right. Good, good. Not a problem. Okay, good. I'm seeing that most of you are watching the video. Now, I've assigned the videos now. I don't always assign the videos because, like I said, we watched the one with Mr. Sneeds, and that is usually sufficient, but you're always encouraged to watch as many examples as possible. So I see most of you have gotten in, you're watching them, you're answering the questions. Good, good, good. Because at the end of the day, I would like to put this column in the grade book that everybody has answered that first set of questions. Mhm. Yay! Good, good, good. All right, good. Everybody's in. Wonderful. All right, so I'm creating a column in the grade book so that we can add this first quiz. I won't add the second one yet, but we'll, like I said, in the next 20 minutes, we'll watch that video and then I'll give you time to work on that. But I won't put that column in until Monday. Okay, do you see where you have been assigned something or do I need to assign it again? Have you been assigned anything to do? Okay, good. Excellent, excellent. So everybody is in. Should I close? Okay. And just to let you know, you don't have to do anything. Um, you don't have to let me know that you completed it. I see somebody did. Um, I'm gonna, like I said, it's gonna record it for me, and I will automatically transfer it to the Gradebook. So you don't have to post it that you completed it. I got your score, and I will put that in there for you. But thank you. I didn't submit it twice. Okay, I'm looking at the projects, and what I really like is that each of you chose something very unique. There's not two people who are doing the same relationships. I like that. Didn't have to assign you organisms. You all picked very unique organisms and different from each other. So what we'll do on um, Wednesday is I'll do a gallery walk so that you can use the short class to look at what other people have done. Hopefully everybody will be finished with their project by then. Because after today it's late, just keep that in mind. Okay, I know I said 30 minutes. I got caught up looking at some of these interesting projects. So I'm going to just show the one video, and again, it is actually in your playlist. I'll go ahead and show it in class so that it's on the recording as something we have to do for today. So let me get to the share. All right, so if you're doing something else, stop for a minute or just make sure that you give an ear. Again, these videos are in your playlist, and I am actually accessing this from your class playlist. And we're going to look at
Hey everybody,
terrestrial
it's Mr.
biomes.
Smeeds. Welcome to video notes for topic 1.2, which is terrestrial or land-based biomes. Our objective for the day is to be able to describe the global distribution and the environmental conditions of land-based or terrestrial biomes. We'll talk about how the plants and animals that live in a biome are adapted to that unique climate. We'll go over major must-know biomes for apes. We'll talk about how the worldwide distribution of biomes is subject to change if our climate changes. And finally, the environmental science skill that we'll practice at the end of today's video will be explaining an environmental concept or process. So biomes are areas that share a combination of average yearly temperature and precipitation, also known as climate. This is really important to point out. Climate is just a combination of average temperature and precipitation trends over a year. So we can look at some examples of well-known biomes. We have the rainforest. Of course, this is going to be a biome that over the course of the year is going to have really...
Stop it for a minute. Is this blurry to you? Because on my side, it's blurry. Yeah. All right. I will try. Let me try to reload it a different way. All right, let me stop sharing for a minute, come out of that, and because that is not clear at all.
USA Safe Pilot, I could save when I road trip safely.
Or with USA Safe Pilot Miles, I could save when I stay.
Hey everybody, it's Mr. Smeeds. Welcome to video notes for topic 1.2, which is terrestrial or land-based biomes. Our objective for the day is to be able to describe the global distribution.
I think it's just that the video is not clear because I'm loading it again from YouTube, and it looks the same. All right, so I'm not going to change it. I will. All right, I will share again and we'll finish watching. Basically, you'll get the general idea. It's blurry, but it's not unrecognizable. So, and then you also have the videos that are in the AP classroom. Uh-oh. Oh, I got the video looking good and now the Zoom is out. Okay, there we go. I think it's back, sort of. All right, try it again. All right, I got the video to be clear. Now let's hopefully, I think sometimes sharing makes the Zoom go out. But there we go. All right, that looks a little better. Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Unique climate.
Yeah.
We'll go over major must-know biomes for apes. We'll
It
talk
was
about how
clear.
the worldwide distribution of biomes is subject to change if our climate changes. And finally, the environmental science skill that we'll practice at the end of today's video will be explaining an environmental concept or process. So biomes are areas that share a combination of average yearly temperature and precipitation, also known as climate. This is really important to point out. Climate is just a combination of average temperature and precipitation trends over a year. So we can look at some examples of well-known biomes. We have the rainforest. Of course, this is going to be a biome that over the course of the year is going to have really, really high rainfall, as well as really, really warm temperatures. Whereas the desert is going to be a biome that's characterized by very, very low precipitation. Now, it may also have high temperatures, but that low precipitation is the big distinguisher between the tropical rainforest and the desert. Really important to point out that the community of organisms that live in biomes are uniquely adapted to the climate of those biomes. So this is our sort of thinking like a mountain opportunity, because instead of thinking of the biome and trying to memorize what organisms can survive there, just remember that any organism in a biome must be uniquely adapted to survive those climate conditions. So we've got some examples here. We have camels and cacti. Camels have humps, which store energy in the form of fat for times when they are unable to find energy for a long period of time. Cacti have thick, waxy cuticles or coats that basically prevent water loss through evaporation. So those are both adaptations that allow those organisms to survive the harsh, dry conditions of the desert. We have shrubs and wildflowers. They're going to have long, deep roots that store a lot of energy so that when there's wildfires that devastate the landscape of the grasslands that they live in, they're going to be able to quickly regrow because they've stored so much energy deep in the ground in their roots. So again, the organisms of a biome are uniquely adapted to survive the conditions, meaning the climate, of that biome. Now we'll talk about
I was going to say something before he moved. All right. And I really hate that this is so blurry because that's very unusual. But again, the important thing is to remember how you define a biome. So he's about to show you the map of all the different biomes and how you look at it in terms of climate and temperature, precipitation and temperature, how much rainfall the area gets, and its yearly average temperature. And over here, we looked at the classification of living things where you start off with an organism and then a group of the same organism makes a population, and then you have several populations living in the same area. Well, in this case, we're talking, and then we went up to ecosystems, and ecosystems include the non-living aspects such as water, sunlight, soil, air, temperature. All of those things add to the living aspect of the environment. So the important part here is that they are uniquely adapted. And I stopped it here because your next project will have you looking at a particular biome and selecting animals, and then you will have to discuss how are these animals, plants and animals, because you're going to pick some plants and some animals, uniquely adapted to living where they live. Okay, in addition to talking about the conditions of the biome that you pick. Okay, so that's an important point to remember.
Survive the conditions, meaning the climate, of that biome. Now we'll talk about characteristics of biomes. The two most important characteristics of a biome are its temperature and precipitation. In fact, they are the defining characteristics. So if we look at a graph here, we'll see that we have different ranges of both temperature and precipitation. So for instance, if we look at the tropical seasonal forest, also known as the savanna, we'll notice that they range in annual precipitation from maybe 60 or 75 centimeters of annual precipitation all the way up to maybe 280. And
I'm going to reproduce this graph for you because it's going to be important that you know how to use it. They will give you a graph like this and then ask you a question based on the graph. What is the average precipitation and what is the average climate? And you are going to find the climate and then kind of run your finger, kind of do a cross check so that you, oh, wow. I didn't even realize that my background had left me. This, because Zoom had died. So one of the things that Zoom did was take out my background. I'm crazy. There we go. This is back. Okay. Sidebar. But you're going to have to know how to use this map. So I'm going to reproduce this and then we'll have a moment when we talk about questions that specifically ask you to be able to discuss a biome based on what information you can get by just looking at this map. Like, again, I'm sorry that this is so blurry, but his information is good. It's just right now the quality
and
of
if we
this
look at the
picture is
temperature,
bad.
we'll notice that those tropical seasonal forests are going to range from, maybe 18 degrees or so, all the way up to about 29 degrees Celsius. So just keep in mind that all of these biomes are defined by the range of precipitation and temperature found in them. What we'll notice is that these temperature and precipitation ranges will also predict where on Earth we can find the biomes. So we can look at the biomes mapped across Earth's surface, and we'll see that there's very predictable patterns. If we look at biomes such as the tundra and the boreal forest, if you remember our graph, they're very low in precipitation, and they're also colder biomes. So we're going to see them farther away from the equator, concentrated around 60 degrees
I'm also going to
latitude.
reproduce this map for you because this is another color-coded map that you will have to be able to use in order to answer questions.
Now, if we look at the temperate biomes, these are going to be things like temperate grasslands, temperate seasonal forests. We're going to see them concentrated on the middle latitudes between 30 and 60. This is because these are latitudes that receive a moderate amount of rainfall and have a moderate temperature year round. So they're going to be reasonably warm, but they're going to get somewhat cool in the winter. And then finally, we have the tropical biomes. So this would be the tropical rainforest and the tropical seasonal forest or the savanna. And we'll notice that they're concentrated around the equator.
From idea to submission, empower students to do their best work. Grammarly's comprehensive AI writing assistance.
And that's going to be characterized by really warm temperatures because it gets the most direct sunlight and really high precipitation. So again, instead of trying to memorize all of these different biomes, we need to think about how these patterns of temperature and precipitation are influenced by the distance that we are from the equator. And that's going to tell us where we're going to find different biomes. We'll see our colder, drier biomes up near 60 degrees and north. So the further away we get from the equator, we'll see our temperate biomes in those middle latitudes around 30 to 60 degrees. And then we'll see our tropical, our really warm and our really rainy biomes near the equator. Another very important characteristic of biomes is their nutrient availability. Now, this is because plants need soil nutrients in order to grow. So the availability of the nutrients in the soil is ultimately going to determine which plants and how many species of plants can survive in different biomes. So we have a great example here. We can think about the tundra. Now, you could memorize that the tundra has a lot of snow and ice, and so it doesn't have as many plant species. But we want to try to actually understand the reasoning behind that. So because the soil in the tundra is permanently frozen year-round, that limits the decomposition of organic matter, which recycles nutrients. So because those soils are so frozen for so much of the year, we don't recycle a lot of nutrients. And so there are low nutrient levels in the soil. That's going to also lead to low water availability due to it being frozen. And then finally, that's going to result in very few plants able to survive these conditions. So we can see here that the active layer, the layer of the soil that thaws out each year and is available for plant growth, is very small compared to the permafrost. Again, that results in very few species of plants being able to survive here, and therefore fewer animal species as well. Now we can look at a few more examples. The tropical rainforest, even though it has a ton of plant growth and you might think it has really nutrient-rich soil, is actually going to be quite nutrient poor. And it's because there are so many plants that are competing for the nutrients that they get quickly absorbed in the soil as soon as they're made available. Then we have the boreal forest. Boreal forests, remember, are cold. They're going to be dominated by coniferous trees like pine trees, aspen, spruce, and they're going to also have nutrient poor soils, but for a different reason. It's because the temperature is so low for much of the year that the decomposers like earthworms and fungi are not going to be able to break down dead organic matter fast enough to cycle those nutrients quickly. Then finally, we have the temperate forests. Those are the forests that you're used to seeing in West Michigan and across much of the US. They have very high nutrient levels in the soil, and that's because they have broad leaves, like oaks and maples, that drop their leaves each fall.
Okay, I wanted to pause it there because, again, when you all write your essay answers, and again, I'm always going to be trying to coach you on to how to properly answer a question. Notice how he didn't just say because it's frozen, and that's why the trees don't grow. He's actually given 3 different points as to why the plants don't grow so well in the tundra. Then he gave 3 different good reasons why they don't grow in the tropics. And that's how you need to answer your questions as well. Okay, now we're not going to get a chance to, I'm going to show a little bit more of it. Class's time is running out. This is also in your playlist, but you also have other videos to watch, hopefully in the AP classroom. So now that everybody's in, we can get everybody to do 1.2 in the AP classroom as well. So I'm going to let this go for just another minute or 2.
That leads to a lot of organic matter on the forest floor, and their moderate temperatures are going to allow for a faster rate of decomposition, which makes those nutrients available in the soil. So this is a great example of how another biome characteristic, nutrient availability, ultimately determines which plants and which animals can survive in that biome.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date.
Skip that.
And finally, we'll talk about how biomes can shift in their locations. That is because climate is not stable on Earth. Climate is subject to human activities that are changing it rapidly right now. As those soils that used to be frozen for much of the year are thawing out and able.
All right, again, I'm going to pause it there because, like I said, we have like 2 minutes left to class. So, again, the recording is going to be there. You also are responsible, so it is, and we haven't done 1.3, but you're welcome to watch it. But you should definitely watch 1 and 2 if you haven't already done so, and complete 1 and 2 in the AP classroom, and complete your projects. We've got a lot to complete so far. All right. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? All right. We're supposed to have tutorial times. So my tutorial days are going to be right after this class on Tuesdays and Fridays. So it'll be right after this class between 1:30 and 2. Okay. So I'll put that on but tutorials start on Monday. So if you need to, I will be here. You need to let me know that I need to stay logged in, and let me know that you need some extra help. But I'll put that on the syllabus page, that it's Tuesdays and Fridays from 1:30 to 2. Okay. All right. You all have a great weekend, and see you next week. I'm sorry today was kind of so wacky.